Hi, how are ya? You right? 'Cause I'm great. How are you? So I'm aware I disappeared off the face of the earth. I literally uploaded one episode and then I just buggered off, to cut a long story short. I really have no explanation for that, so I'm sorry if anyone is watching this. I really have no explanation. I just sort of disappeared, and I got a new job, which is really fun and exciting. So I've kind of been focusing on that for a little bit, and I I can't speak. I just haven't really got round to getting back onto this. I'll do that again. Hello everybody, my name's Ella and you are listening or watching my podcast, EllsAMess. And this is episode number 2. I was hoping it was going to be a lot more episodes, but I disappeared off the face of the earth, so it's episode number 2. So in today's episode, I wanted to speak about my story on me leaving university. I have filmed this video about I filmed it once. That was in February, but it's so soon after I left uni. I was in a completely different mindset to where I am now. It's going to be quite a heavy video. Grab a cup of tea if, you want one, because if you're going to sit here through the whole of this video, thank you so much. But I would advise you grab a cup of tea or some type of beverage. I got water, so stunning. I was in my process of leaving. I sat and watched loads of other people's videos of people who dropped out, just because I was like, I don't know whether this is the right thing for me. Like, will I really regret this decision? Because obviously it's a lot of money and time, and you've moved away from home. I don't want it to be a waste. Massive thing for me to take up the courage and leave, but I just had to. Like, I was there now. Not to sound too deep, I just don't know what would have happened. Well, I think that leaving uni needs to be normalised, and I just really want to be someone just to share my experience and hopefully help other people as well, because I know if you are leaving uni or even something in life, like, it's just so hard because you're scared. I was more scared. I was like, am I throwing everything away here? I felt like I was going to get nowhere. That was kind of how the option was in my head at the time. If I didn't go to uni, I would get nowhere, which is the furthest thing from the truth. I think university is an amazing thing. I'm not saying that I hate it, or I'm saying that everyone else should drop out. That is like the furthest from what I'm saying. I'm just simply here today to share my own experience. So just a little bit of a backstory. I'm going to be reading some notes off my phone just because there's so much that happened. Make sure I get every detail. So I have never ever been an academic person, like never. All of my friends will tell you, and my family, just like writing, books, reading. I really wish I could enjoy reading a book. Also, please don't judge, because we don't judge here, okay? This is a safe place. Yeah, I've never been a reader. Dog's dyslexic as well, so, and I don't think at the time I was quite prepared. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, didn't know how it would work, like how the whole dynamic. So I just was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. So previously, before I went to uni, I did 2 college courses. I did a beauty therapy course when I was about 17, literally straight after I left school. I did that for 2 years. It wasn't my first choice. I've always wanted to be a makeup artist, but because I didn't quite get the grades in the school, I had to do it. It was either that or an art foundation, and I dropped out of the art foundation course because it just, it was not for me. And worked as a beauty therapist for a year and a half. I really enjoyed that for a little bit, but it just, again, it wasn't like my main career, like what I wanted to do. So yeah, I did that. I then managed to burn myself. I got a 3rd degree burn, which meant that I burnt my nerve endings in my wrist, which meant I couldn't put pressure on it, so I had to stop being a beauty therapist. And then after that, I went to college, and in Birmingham, and I studied a level 3 makeup diploma with like special effects makeup, fashion editorial makeup, all things like that. And that was last year. I fell in love with it so much. Like, I moved away, I lived in Birmingham, and I met one of my best friends, she's also called Ella, there. And yeah, it was just great. I loved it. And I loved the whole dynamic of college because it was mainly practical. It was barely any theory-based work. And I think I thought that uni was going to be like college. Yeah, and it's really not. Basically applied for a BA Honours in makeup artistry, covering sort of the same sort of things as what I mentioned in my college course. And I particularly wanted to specialise in editorial makeup because I absolutely love fashion. I'm a shopaholic. It's quite bad, as I mentioned in my last video. Yeah, I love clothes, and if you combine that with really cool, crazy, wacky makeup, I love it so much. And that's where I really find like my creativity comes in. I just have so many ideas with it, and that was the only way I thought I could pursue the career that I wanted in makeup. Clearly I didn't do my research enough because I'm on a very different path now, which I will share at the end, still managing to achieve what I love doing. And I ended up going to uni. It was the same college that I went to beforehand, but it is also a university. So me and my boyfriend, my brother and his girlfriend, we all packed all my stuff up and we were planning on moving me up there. It was all good. I was really excited, but I was also really anxious at the same time because I was living in Birmingham like full time and I was going to be away from home, which Birmingham is not that far from my house. It's only 45 minutes, but still, like, where I live I am not a city person. So it was like a very big change for me to be, living like the uni lifestyle and all of that. So yeah, we packed all of my stuff up and we moved me up there. This might sound really irrelevant, but this is a vital point in this story. I dyed my hair blonde, like almost kind of platinum blonde, but not quite. And with me, I have always switched from this hair colour or a little bit lighter to bright blonde. Like, I just can't differentiate between the two of them. And I was going through a little bit of a phase where I wanted to change everything about myself. I was like, yeah, like new hair, uni, I want to be like the best version of me. And yeah, so I changed my hair and that was that. I swiftly changed it back after my experience, and I don't plan on going that colour again soon because it's really silly, but it made me feel like that my whole experience, because my hair was that colour, that is also why it was so bad. So that hair colour is kind of like, I don't know. So yeah, I moved up there, freshers came around, I had so much fun, I met so many amazing lovely people. I was going out every night, absolutely shite-faced, and I mean shite-faced. Never been so hungover in my life. I had some really fun nights out. Then actual uni started. I was petrified. I didn't know what to expect. I was just like, let's go with it. I didn't know, and I could sense it was gonna obviously be really, really hard. I didn't know where to put myself. So yeah, uni started, and that's kind of where everything went downhill from there and unfolded. And this whole story is a gradual thing that happened sort of over time and then just progressively got worse. And looking back at it now, I can't even like picture myself to be in that mindset because I was not myself. It was quite scary, if I'm honest. Like, from people who were around me have said it wasn't a nice time. Besides going out at night, like pretty much almost every night, I just felt like there wasn't anything else to do. The social side of it was so much fun. I absolutely loved it, but it was when I was by myself in my room, and I had a lovely accommodation room. It was so nice. When I was like by myself in my room, meant to be studying, my mind it wouldn't focus on the work. Like, I was procrastinating so much, and I know that's a thing we all do anyway. So yeah, I just was trying to focus on doing this work, but I know that sounds like I couldn't be bothered, but like I genuinely couldn't be bothered. And I did really try, and I actually was doing really well with my assignments, but just something in me didn't sit right. And over the periods of time of me being in my room, I just got so in my head. I felt so anxious as well, the fact that like I had to go into the kitchen, and I shared a kitchen with people, because me and my flatmates, like they're all lovely, but they all did their own thing. Like we weren't really all like really close and stuff, so we all had our own separate mates. Going into the kitchen and cooking a meal like actually terrified me. I got like just really, really bad anxiety from that situation. From the anxiety of not being able to cook meant that I wouldn't eat, which is so unlike me. I wouldn't eat. Like, I would cook some instant pasta and then I would run my room. And I think because I was just in my room all the time, like, I didn't know how to be by myself. And that's something I'd never sort of, been through before. And obviously when people wanted to chill and do their own thing, I found it so hard, because I just got myself into a rut. My head became filled with so much paranoia from me not eating, but a lot of nights I was like really hungover. It was bad, like it was bad. And from me not eating as well, just a combination of all of that just really caused me to just basically have a breakdown. And I wish to say I was being over dramatic, but yeah, it was bad. I think one of the worst parts of it was, like, look, I tried to make myself have a set routine, but obviously all of those factors I mentioned beforehand caused me to just sort of like lose all motivation for everything. And yeah, I began to feel very isolated. I felt like I couldn't be myself. Through my whole uni experience, in those first few weeks, I was myself. Because I'm a very happy, bubbly individual. But from all of those factors, it just caused me to just sort of become like a hermit and shut myself away in that little room. And just got all of these thoughts really in my head. And it was a really, really scary place to be in. I have never been in a place like that mentally. And all of those factors as well caused me to miss my mum more. And I obviously miss her every single day of my life, but I just sort of, get on with it. And from the way how my mum very sadly left, it was very sudden, and me and my brother around her when, just after she passed, and I've seen some things which have caused me to have PTSD from her passing away. I'm not going to get into the full-on story now. I will explain it more as time goes on. But the way she passed away of a brain hemorrhage, and she wasn't ill or anything like that. She just went so suddenly, none of us were expecting it. He's like my best friend, my brother. It really affected both of us, and we just, carried on, and that was that. Something as well that I don't really talk about it, like flashbacks or anything like that, just because I feel like I don't want people to feel like I'm being a bird about it. It's something that I keep very private. I think with things and trauma like this, it's amazing to talk about it, but it's obviously so hard to. It's not that I don't want to. Well, I obviously don't, but the type of person that I am, I don't want to make people, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm putting my problems on everyone else. And that is how I felt at uni, so I just didn't talk. Also, if you can hear shuffling, that is my dog downstairs. Completely different story, but when I was, how old was I? I was 18. I was 17 when my mum passed, but when I was 18, in the summertime of, I think it was 2019, I just turned 18, I was being a pot washer, and This was just after lockdown or like the summertime of lockdown, and I just right. I had like almost like an anxiety, like I kept on getting loads of panic attacks, really, really bad. And I was on one shift and I think I passed out, I don't remember, but I got sent home, and my head just I started seeing all these different scenarios of flashbacks, and I genuinely thought I was going crazy. I understand what was wrong with me, and I went to the doctor. And with PTSD, it's a silent disorder. Like in your head, it's something that is different for everyone. Just even now, like I still struggle to understand it, because everyone's so different. And I think with trauma and PTSD, it's understanding your triggers and how to really look after yourself and live with it and know what situation's going to set you up. When I was going through that time in uni, it caused me, because I wasn't looking after myself properly, I was super tired. It caused me to not sleep because I was so paranoid about everything and everyone. I would be on FaceTime to my boyfriend every single night, crying my eyes out, just saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know why I'm like this. I couldn't get out of this rut I was in. It was just non-stop every day. And me being like that, and not being able to speak to my mum. My mum was my best friend. I would speak to her about everything. I was thinking in my head, what do I do? Because I couldn't speak to my mum, I was struggling. And, my biggest supporter isn't there. Like, I just completely shut myself off. From me not sleeping, I got really bad like nightmares, which were just and I was waking up really late. I was getting up at 3 p.m. Work as well just piled up and up and up. I had so much work to do. I was now stressing myself out, and everything I tried to do, even me putting on a face and makeup, every little tiny thing with me trying to make myself feel better, it just became draining because I just couldn't. And I'm a firm believer in keep going, don't give up. I gave up on myself, and I think that was the most soul destroying thing for me. I just couldn't understand why I felt the way how I did. And I thought I just couldn't understand why the way how I was, and I began to hate myself because I felt like I didn't fit in with everyone else, because everyone else seemed to be loving their uni experience, and it just broke my heart because I wasn't. I basically lost myself, and it was hard. Like I didn't know what to do. There was one night I remember I got home from uni and I went back into my accom, and it was about 9:30 at night. I just sat on my bed and I just FaceTimed my boyfriend, and I just said, I just went, I'm going to drop out. And he was like, what? And then on, I just literally finished uni. It was that point where I can't go on like this. Like, I didn't know like what my purpose was anymore. I lost myself so much. I was there for the sake of it at that point. And I was so scared at the thought of leaving uni that I had no other option in my life. But if I was to leave, I wouldn't get anywhere in life. I'd be a failure. That's how I thought of it in my head at the time. And obviously that's far from the truth. And it was really a case of my mental health, my well-being, or just living there. And it just made me not want to be here anymore. Like, to put it completely bluntly. And I have, as I mentioned, I haven't been in a position like that where I felt that before. That night, my brother came and I packed a suitcase. It was about 11:30 at night, and he picked me up from the train station, and I was just beside myself. I just couldn't stop crying, and no one really understood why. I just phoned him up before and I just said, I can't be here anymore. I just told him everything. And we obviously went back home, and yeah. So that was the turning point for me, where I said to myself, I either carry on like this and not have much of myself, or I leave. And it was a lot of people in my family weren't best pleased about my decision at the time. I think they were worried because I was so set on going to uni. They were like, oh my god, well, what are you gonna do? Like, in a concerned, friendly way, they were worried. And I was scared, and I went back to uni and I continued doing my classes and things. And in terms of classes and things like that, I just wanted to say as well, like, obviously the work grew and grew and grew. It wasn't all bad in my practical sessions. I really loved some of the looks I created, but I felt like another factor of it all wasn't just my mental health, but it was also the actual course in itself. I felt like it was very repetitive of the one that I did last year. I felt like I was just repeating it, but with a load more admin, work, assignments, and it just made my brain literally want to explode. To some of my practical sessions, and I missed one because I think because my mental health was so bad. I just was so exhausted. When I got home, I needed to, like, you know, take care of myself properly and eat and all of that, and I did. And by the thought of going back up to Birmingham on a train just made me want to have a breakdown. So I stayed home for a little bit, back up there, and I began to feel, again, I felt so isolated. I was like, let's try again, you know, you've been home now, let's just see how we go. And I did about a week, I just couldn't do it. I was just like, this is too much. I then had my best friend come up and stay with me. We went on a night out. That was super fun. I thought maybe if I have like one of my mates come over, it might make me feel so much better. So my best friend came up and then met my auntie in the bullring at Selfridges, and I was just like, I think I'm gonna go home. And she was like, why do you want to go home? Like, enjoy it, you know? And when my best friend was going to go home, I would be so upset. Like, when she left, I had like a pit in my chest. I was like, I'm coming with you. So I ended up going back home. And then the day after, I literally was going back and forth from home in Birmingham so much. It was ridiculous. I was getting the train every other day back home. I have a best friend come up and visit me. That was really nice. We did bowling. It was really fun. And after she left, I just went straight home again, because I was like, I just can't be here. Like, everything just became, and I just felt so trapped from everything that had happened, because I just really didn't feel like myself. I felt like, because the paperwork was so intense and I obviously wasn't on top of it, I felt like it was just sucking like the passion away from me. And I didn't enjoy doing makeup either anymore. So I started to kind of come up with a little plan, and I was completely broke. I was a broke soul, a broke lady. I wasn't earning any money. And bearing in mind, when I was up there as well, I barely saw my friends from home, which I found really hard. I obviously had the girls as well from uni, which was lovely, but they were doing their own thing and stuff like that. And obviously uni's just different as a whole. And the city, Birmingham, I hated living there. Like, even now, I haven't been back to that city since, because just the whole situation, not to sound dramatic, I really don't want people to think I'm being dramatic, but this is genuinely how it was. Like, just made me feel so depressed. And obviously I'm grateful that I've been through it, because everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I haven't been up there since, and I'm not really a city person either, which I've mentioned. Love going there on a weekend for a couple of days, don't get me wrong. Love going around the shops, going out, doing fun stuff. I wasn't focusing on my career. I would literally go to uni, go out with my friends, which was fun, but when it came to myself, I would just do nothing. So I wasn't putting effort into myself, so how could I put my effort into anything? And it just became that cycle. So, yeah, I started coming up with a plan when I was upset and deep. I would watch YouTube videos of people who dropped out of uni saying it was the best thing they'd ever done, and that kind of sort of motivated me to go, that is the right decision for me. It's not like an influence of that. It really reassured me, because I was so lost. I didn't know. I was lying to myself. I was sticking at something which was literally just breaking me, because I didn't have it in me to continue, and I was really trying to continue, and obviously it's a lot of money and all of that to consider. So, and I was so worried about what everyone would think, and I wouldn't have a career, and just all the fears of leaving, and then plus all of the other paranoia of just from being alone. It just all built up, and I FaceTimed my best friend and I said, look, I'm thinking of leaving uni, and obviously she was so supportive, and she just said, are you sure? You just need to do what's right for you. And she was really helpful. So yeah, she actually has a YouTube channel. It's Liv McKnight. Gave her a little shout out. You should go follow it, because we did a really funny video, and we're both massive weirdos, and hopefully I'll have her on here one day soon. That isn't right. So I left living and I tried commuting, and I had to get up at 6 a.m, got 2 trains. It was a long old day. I honestly don't know how people do that on the daily, so fair play, because I could not. So I did the leather, like, flared trousers, and I felt really anxious about going. I literally felt sick about going back to Birmingham. I just didn't want to go, but I went anyway. And as soon as I got there, I walked into uni. I was late, which for one I was like, oh fuck's sake. And I bent down, and my trousers split right down the middle of my bum out. And my jacket was like, I had like a little hoodie on because we had to wear this uniform, but it wasn't long enough. It wasn't covering my bum, so you could literally see my whole bum. And I was like, I haven't got any other clothes with me, so it was a bloody nightmare. So after that, I just thought, oh my god. So I then walked out, went into the toilet, FaceTimed my best friend. I just said, this is just like that. This is a sign for me. I said to myself as well, I was like, this is my mum giving me signs in like a jokey way. This is her telling me that uni is not right for me. Just leave. And I was like, at this point, I was just like, oh my god, great, of course. And I went to go speak to her and say my trousers have split, so I might have to go home because I've travelled really far and I have nothing to get changed into. Plus, I have no money to buy a pair of leggings. Like, I was broke. Whilst I was saying that to her, she said, oh, well, why don't you stay? You can wrap your coat around you. She was like, you'll just be even more behind. And after that point, I just started crying, and I just said, I want to drop out. I don't want to do this anymore. And she was like, oh, but she said, are you sure? Like, where's this come from? And I just said, I hate it. I just said, I really feel like I can't be myself. And she was really nice. She just sort of appointed me to another member of staff who was amazing. And they just sort of said, well, you can defer now, or we can help put a mental health plan in place for you. They weren't aware of my situation. And also, I didn't bother to reach out for help from any of the staff. So I could have got a lot of help with what I was going through. But I didn't even bother to seek help because I knew it wasn't right. But I was trying to convince myself that it was. I didn't talk, but I probably should have done, but that's just not the way how it happened. I just didn't. So they ended up giving me a week. They just said, have a week off, just chill out, sort your situation out, speak to your family, because none of my family knew. Like, they all thought I was really enjoying uni at that point. I just kind of said, oh yeah, I'm loving. And yeah, so I went home for the week, and that was probably one of the roughest weeks ever, because I was trying to come up with a plan and options, and as I mentioned previously, home was not a nice place to be for me because obviously uni is a lot of money and I was getting help with that. So my dad was not happy, and he really wanted me to do university, and it was just really hard. Like, at the time it was really, really hard. And I was even worried because I didn't have a job. I was literally back to square one. I didn't know what to do. And I had this little checklist. First thing I did, I dyed my hair back dark because it sounds silly, but we all, like, you know, when you dye your hair colour, when you change your hair colour, it completely changes you. And I was like, I am in such a shit place. I need to change my hair. My hair was all scraggly and it was basically yellow because I wasn't toning it and looking after it. I literally just didn't care. Like, I lost all respect for myself by that point. So I went and got my hair dyed back. That instantly made me feel better. I started going to the gym. I started seeing my friends regularly from home, which I loved. And it was really, really hard. And I eventually told my friends, they were really supportive. They just said, if that's what you want to do. And that, I was just so grateful for that point. And my boyfriend as well. And just, they were just really supportive, you know. So I then phoned up the lecturer and I just said, look, thank you so much for your help, but I'm gonna leave. And she gave me a lot of business advice because I said I still want to be a makeup artist, and she told me to either look at short courses, or there are ways as well, like getting into a job, like an agency job. And that's exactly what I did. I then applied for an agency job, which I did for about 3 months, which I absolutely loved. I was really nervous, but that really felt like, you know, I was back on track again, and I was doing that. I helped out on the benefit counter, and yeah, like just working with makeup, all the products, I loved it. I loved the interaction with people. I started to feel like myself again, and I was in the store, and I then, now flash forward to 3 months later, I now work for Estee Lauder on the multi-brand, which is a concept of 5 different counters. So I'm a makeup artist for Estee Lauder, Clinique, Bobbi Brown and Tom Ford, which is just an absolute dream. Like, I'm absolutely loving it so much, and yeah, I'm just so happy and grateful for the position that I'm in right now. And do content making as well for the social media page for mine, which is just amazing, and I'm absolutely loving it. So yeah, that's where I am now. Basically, through all of that, I'm now here, and looking back in around October, November time, it's crazy how different I am now to then, because I think in situations like that, it's so hard to overcome them, and especially when you have no clue what you're doing. If you'd have told me that 5 months ago I would be in the position that I'm in now, I genuinely don't think I would have believed it. I find really hard, because it's just something that was really hard. Yeah, I just can't believe it. Like, I'm just so grateful to be in the position that I'm in right now. And I think if you're in a position, you know, where you feel really isolated and alone and by yourself, and you feel like it's never going to end, because that, for me, felt like it was never going to end. Whatever situation, I don't know what it may be, if you're thinking of leaving uni and it's not for you, or changing career, I just really feel like you've just got to listen to your gut. And I kept on actually asking people, what is a gut feeling? And they just said, you'd know. And that was obviously my gut feeling. And I just feel like, because when I decided to leave, as I mentioned, a lot of people were worried. They were going, oh, you know, you shouldn't have left. Some people did say to me, you will regret leaving uni. And I'm just happy, because I feel like I've proved those people wrong, and it was the best decision that I've ever made. And so happy to be in the position that I'm in now, being able to do what I love every day, being a makeup artist still, and having loads of opportunities. Even though sadly it didn't work out for me at uni, there are other options. It's not the be all and end all. That's where I am now. And obviously I wanted to create this podcast because I've tried therapy. I think I mentioned this. I've tried therapy, I've tried counselling, and I love to help other people. I want to share some of my experiences because I just feel like that it may help other people, hopefully. I've found in the past, watching other people's podcasts, I love them. I just really wanted to create one because I just think grief as well is something that, and trauma and things like that, are such hard subjects. There is no right way of dealing with it. They are such hard things to go through. It's different for every single person. And I really wanted to share my experience today, and just to let people know that this is where I am now. And if you are in a really shitty place, it can get better, because that felt like it was never going to end for me, you know? So yeah, that's where I am now. And I think that's everything. Like, that's the whole story. It's thank you so much if you have managed to make it this far, because it was quite a long story. It's probably all like jumbly, so I'm gonna need to edit that. But yeah, that is my story. That's how I left uni. And I couldn't be more happier right now, if I'm honest. Life's I'm still not 100%, but I'm definitely doing so much better than what I was. So yeah. And I think as well with grief, it's very up and down each day. It is really true when people say you need to take each day as it comes with it. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me that if anyone is watching this, if you guys have watched it to the end, I really appreciate it. And if you want to see more of me, please subscribe. And I will be back soon. I won't be gone for like 2 months this time, 3 months, I promise. I will be back. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.